How's it going, everyone? I was inspired by the incredible Neil Bloom to do essentially like a 10-minute rundown of what I've been looking at this week, what I've been thinking about, to the extent that people are interested or that are doing similar things to me and want to have a discussion point to start comparing notes. So I love my job of managing pensions. I get to meet a lot of really interesting doctors and dentists and talk through what's going on in their lives, what pain points they're trying to solve, and I have a few thoughts. One, I'm finding that just not a lot of people know that there are options available to them, specifically around the defined benefit pension side. Less than 5% of doctors, dentists actually own the real estate that they practice in. And a lot of opportunities are made available to physicians and dentists if they know to double click and find it. So I'm just floored the extent to which people really aren't aware of the ways you can deduct taxes, you can defer money. And I think what it comes down to is many of the people that I work with, they have their basic needs met. And beyond that, they're not going to go outside of their wheelhouse to try to dip their toe into something unfamiliar. They count on service providers coming to them and delivering a superior level of service or having ideas that they can chew along with. And the idea is that they really don't want to try anything that their friends haven't tried. So I'm finding a lot of success just educating people on you can deduct most of your income, especially if you're like me in my 40s or 50s, and you're trying to contribute towards your retirement. And so I really like this job because I can just educate people on what interests me, the ways that they can get a return towards their retirement or towards just making money so they can go spend more time in Europe. I think that I was just taken away the extent to which some of the brightest members of our society do not know these, what I see as standard tax principles that underlie a lot of the tax savings that are used by multinational corporations and increasingly being used by people here in San Diego that are business owners, physicians, dentists. And I started with a small community, but excited in the new year to continue to grow it out. And on top of that, under the big, beautiful bill, you may have read that the qualified opportunity zones have been not only brought back, but really juiced up in a pretty substantial way. The big takeaway there is that you can defer capital gains. And then if you hold your investment in a fund for 10 years or more, the entire profit or essentially all that capital gains associated with that fund investment, which go to real estate and a bunch of different things that are super safe investments, is completely tax free. So if you're in California, you've essentially got 50% more of a return than you would through any other conventional investment instrument. And again, not a lot of people know about that just because I like to get in the weeds and learn about a lot of this stuff that I've become well versed on it. And I have a network of people that have sharpened me around the edges and helped me with the entities and the filings. So always have a good CPA and tax attorney at your disposal to get the answers that you need. Don't just use ChatGPT. Although I will say that there's a number of legal facing and tax facing AI products that I have been very impressed at being able to deliver a broad swath of knowledge or being able to double click on things a lot faster than you can emailing an attorney or tax advisor that you get an email back once every few hours. So I'm a big believer in going deep on things, and it's just a great way to have a conversation and really get into the weeds of what you're thinking of. So I'm a big user of it, but there's a lot of hallucinations. And I have to verify a lot of what I'm hearing. Another thing that came to my mind is that a part of the pension work I do, I get an allocation in equities, about a third, for proper diversification under the ERISA standard that I have to abide by. And I've noticed an incredible amount of companies that are out of even California, even San Diego, that are listed on the London Stock Exchange, as well as the Canadian Stock Exchange, their venture tier, so TSXV venture. And when the Toronto Stock Exchange came to San Diego, I was fortunate enough to be invited. And we had an event in Del Mar, and some founders that had exited to first the TSX and then uplisted to the American Stock Exchange and then eventually to NASDAQ, as well as ones that listed to NASDAQ and then did NASDAQ North and did Deutsche Börse, or all these other listings that got to the investors that they wanted to get to, the institutional investors that, like myself, are constrained by ERISA to invest in publicly traded securities, where you can get much more money from institutional investors than ones that are investing into private deals because you have to have a third party appraise it, and it's just a huge headache relative to just buying equities from a regulatory perspective. And I was shocked at the extent to which you're finding companies that are valued at 10 million, 50 million, 100 million, essentially in California numbers that would be like a Series A or less, Series C plus. And you're getting audited financials, really professional management teams that are buttoned up, that are wanting a path of liquidity. There's one in particular that they sold 30 million worth of equity with essentially at a stage when they would have a real tough time raising more than 5 million. It was in the biotech space, but on the devices side, and not profitable. So I think there's an interesting realm there for people to explore that really aren't exploring, because there's a lot of regulatory issues associated with going public, people think, and that's true. If you're going to do it on the big board or one of the larger exchanges, you're looking to millions plus a year. People know the problems with pink sheets, and they want a listing platform where they can either buy on margin, they can sell to more institutional investors. And so I'm really seeing good things out of the Toronto Stock Exchange and London. We have a company that we're directing in one of those two directions now. And so I think that speaks volumes to, it's a great way of, if you can't exit to a strategic, or you get a price from a strategic where your income is going to essentially pay for the debt service on the financing that they're using in private equity to buy your business, why don't you just go public in the UK or Canada, and you can, if you're a VC, distribute those shares to your investors and bank it as a win, and you can record the marks permanently. Or when it actually does get the listing, just sell them for cash and then bank it as a DPI. So TVPI or DPI with the help of an exchange, where you can get listed for the cost of a car. So really compelling avenues that I'm not seeing a lot of people using, that I think is really interesting. So contact me if you want to discuss that a little bit more. I've been taking some meetings with firms that are local, that are listed on those foreign exchanges that I've been impressed by, and other VCs that I've done cohorts with that have already invested in, and it's had a lot of success. And if you're in the San Francisco area next week, do come to find me at JPM. I'm at a ton of the side events from Monday until Wednesday. And as a Where's Waldo prize, if you find me, I will send you one of these from my buddy, Will and Ulnick. It's on venture capital for life scientists. And I'm a big believer in education and really an academic way of going about it. What's cool about this is you're getting a meticulous understanding of venture capital specific to scientists in the life science space that you won't see anywhere. Read it over the holidays. It was awesome. If you're wanting to read over computer, they have a Kindle version, but just over the next 3 days, come in contact with me and I'll give you a QR code to have Amazon send you a hard copy like this. So just trying to pass along greatness when I see it. And Will and Jose at Phase 2 are greatness personified. So subscribe to my Substack. If you want to learn more about pensions, reach out to me, MD at delmar.org, or check out the work that we do for qualified opportunity funds at QOF.com.